Welcome to the Workplace Wellbeing Essential Series. I'm Mari Ryan. I'm the CEO and founder of Advancing Wellness. It is my pleasure to welcome you today to this expert interview where we explore topics that impact employee well-being. My guest today is Sam Silverstein. Sam is a leadership keynote speaker, and his mission is to empower people to live accountable lives, transform the way they do business, and to thrive at extraordinary levels. By challenging leaders to shift priorities, cultivate an organizational culture, and inspire both individual and teams to take ownership in fresh and results-producing ways. He is helping companies dramatically increase productivity, profitability, and growth. The Global Gurus recently announced Sam Silverstein as one of the world's top 30 organizational culture professionals. Sam is the author of 7 books, including this one, No Matter What, which, as you can see, I've been busy marking up here. And he is a former executive and business owner. Sam's manufacturing and distribution company sold over $100 million in products and services. He successfully sold one of his businesses to a Fortune 500 company. Today, Sam writes, speaks, and consults with organizations around the globe to think differently, to work with renewed purpose, and to achieve record-breaking results. When Sam's not writing or coaching, consulting, or speaking, he can be found running, he can be found downhill skiing, or hanging out with his kids. Sam, I am so excited to have you here today.
Mari, it is absolutely great to be here. Thank you for all those kind words you shared.
Well, let's dig into our topic. So our topic today is about accountability. And Sam, you've spent many years helping businesses create strong organizational cultures. I'm curious, let's start by level setting for our audience. When you talk about accountability, what do you really mean?
I really mean that, accountability. Well, see, here's the thing. You know, we all want our people to keep their commitments, do more, get their jobs done. But everything we've been told about accountability is wrong. Accountability is not a way of doing. Accountability is a way of thinking, and specifically, it's how we think about our people. Accountability isn't us as leaders trying to manipulate our people to do more. Accountability is leadership being responsible and accountable first to create an environment, a culture that inspires accountability and inspires people to want to be their best. And so what we've discovered is that when leadership starts believing that they're accountable first, then what happens is they see and treat their people differently, they commit to them differently, and they get a different result.
Well, it feels like it's about creating that environment that's first our leaders need to be role models for this. Is that correct?
Well, that's just it. Accountability is not something that's punitive. And see, society has planted, the idea. First, you hear things like, well, I'm going to hold him accountable. Well, if you're holding someone accountable, that's like this. That's not a positive relationship. But as a leader, if you're helping someone be accountable, then you're coming together and you're helping them be successful. And if I help you be successful, then you are going to want me to be successful. And so all of a sudden it's a whole different attitude. So I simplify accountability. I say accountability is keeping your commitments to people. And so in an organizational setting, it revolves around people. Organizations that are high in accountability we have found have always mastered relationships, because when relationships are in place, then you're probably doing the right things and inspiring your people to want to be accountable.
All right. That sounds like a great way to create a healthy work environment. I'm curious, Sam, from your business experience, which clearly is vast, how did you come to settle on this particular topic? as an essential element to a thriving organization and as an essential skill, not just for leaders, but for everyone in the organization? How'd you get there?
Well, that's a great question. And sometimes looking back, you can figure things out a lot easier than looking forward. But I was in this business for after I sold my window and door manufacturing business that I was a part of, I would say it took about 10 years to really grasp what it was that I was doing. And so I was really focused on the tactical, how to do this, how to increase your sales, how to build better relationships. But I was focused on the tactical side of that, how to bring creativity into your marketing. I mean, as you know, I have an MBA, I've had several businesses, I get the whole business aspect of things. And so I focused on all the tactics. And it wasn't until I was 10 years in when I realized really what was in my heart and what made a difference was accountability. And once I latched onto that, then I changed everything. So I see everything through the filter of accountability. And after 15 years of doing that, I've taken it to a depth that I just don't find anywhere else. And that depth is that it's about commitments to people. It's not about the tactical side of your business. It's about the spirit of your business. It's about the culture of your business. And that culture is based on a set of beliefs which are communicated in the form of values. And those values define that culture. And I realized where there are great companies to work for and there are lousy companies to work for, it's not by chance. Leadership has the ability to create that.
Absolutely. You and I are so in alignment on this. And in my book, I call those alive hives and dive hives.
Well, yeah, exactly. How can a company be such a great place to work and another one be a lousy place to work? It's not the product that's causing that, and it's not the service that's causing that. It's people that are causing that. And everything rises and falls on leadership. So if a company has a terrible culture, it's leadership's responsibility. And if a company has a great culture, it's because leadership did something different. It sits on the back of leadership. Now, some leaders don't want to own it, and those are the leaders that usually have an organization where the culture is caustic, where you don't want to be a part of. And I subscribe to the theory that we have two major problems in business today. We don't fire people fast enough. People that aren't living the culture, they should not remain in that organization if they're not going to live the culture. And we don't fire companies fast enough. If you work for an organization and the culture is terrible, especially in today's day and age where unemployment is so low, plot your exit. Don't just walk out the door, but find a great company to work for. And if people start moving to the great companies, then the ones that aren't so great are going to kind of get the message, hey, we better clean up our act if we want to compete.
Exactly. So I totally agree with that. So Sam, in your book, No Matter What, you talk about—
I love all the tabs. I love all the tabs on that book.
Isn't that fun? Yeah, I know. I tell you, that's how I do this is, when I really get into something, it's like, oh, I like that. I want to use that again. So in this book, you outline 10 commitments to accountability. And one of those commitments is a safe place to work. And I'd love to have you describe for our audience what it means to create a safe place to work.
Well, I've worked with a lot of companies like electrical transmission and mining and manufacturing and safety, physical safety. It's a major, major issue, life and death situations. And that's important in any business, but that's not the safety that I'm talking about. And I know that that's not the safety that I'm talking about. The safety that I'm talking about is an emotionally safe place to work. I talk to way too many people that tell me they cry on the way to work, or they're up at night in angst over what's going on during the day at work. And it doesn't have to be that way. If you're going to work for 8, 9, 10 hours a day, why shouldn't you love the place that you work? Why shouldn't you love working with the people that are there? And some people don't think that that's possible, but I have seen it. We've worked with organizations to help them create it. It's very possible. And so a safe place to work is where you can be you, where you can believe what it is that you want to believe. And you don't have to you don't have to subjugate those beliefs to someone else. And no one is micromanaging you, and no one is got their thumb down on you, and no one's holding you accountable. What they're doing is they're creating an environment where people can be their best, where we want to achieve at a higher level, where we would never want to let you down, where we desire to be accountable. That environment, that is what becomes that safe place.
Fabulous. I love that description. It really, really does capture the essence of a place people really do want to come to work.
And those places exist. You know, the book that you have, No Matter What, is the follow-up to a book titled Non-Negotiable. And the book Non-Negotiable I wrote was a book about a bank. And the name of the bank is Happy State Bank. And it's a real bank. It's headquartered out of Amarillo, Texas. And in the last 29 years, their stock value has never gone down. Now, that's all through the Great Recession and all that. They've gone from one location and 10 million in assets to 36 plus locations and over 3.6 billion in assets. So obviously this is a high performance organization, and a high performance organization is always comprised of high performance individuals that are working at an extremely high level of productivity. It doesn't happen any other way. Now, the thing that's so cool about this organization, I walked in one day with my assistant, and we walked onto into the bank, onto one of the levels of the building where the offices were, and it was all open. And we walked off the elevator and stopped. And we just stood there for a moment and sort of took a breath and looked around. And she looked at me and she said, Sam, you know, there's so much peace here. Everyone is so relaxed. The environment was just incredible. Now, you would never expect that. On the surface, it might be counterintuitive to a highly productive organization that is just killing the competition, but they have a safe place to work. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows that their voice is heard. They know that they can speak in direct contradiction to the CEO, and that their opinion is welcome in that scenario. And so that's the goal. That's the goal. And if it can exist at Happy State Bank and it exists in other organizations, well, why can't it exist in your organization?
Well, I totally agree that we can create these thriving organizations. And you and I both know that, and we probably both worked in these types of organizations, so we know it can happen. For our audience, I'm wondering if you can help us make the link between the elements of accountability with values as a base driver of some of these and well-being. So if you think back to your example of the Happy Bank, it sounds like that was a workplace where people probably felt like they were thriving, they were cared for, and that their well-being was probably pretty high.
Yeah, so here's the thing. What a lot of organizations don't realize is values are a set of beliefs of who you are as an organization. They're not policies, okay? They're values. And there's a difference between policies and values. Policies, for the most part, are about things. Values are about people. Mm. And so there's specific areas that the values need to connect to, but they're always about people. So I'll give you a couple of values from Happy State Bank, and I think that it'll show you how it works. One of their values is family first. Now, we've all heard that before, family first and all, but what does that mean? I know for my daughter has a dear friend who lost her brother, and the last thing she heard on the way out of the office to go home to be with her parents when she lost her brother in this tragic accident was, well, when do you think you'll be back? Yeah. Okay, so that's not family first. That's all about the job, all right? At Happy State Bank, family first means that if it's Wednesday afternoon, it's 4 o'clock, and you're at work, and your son or your daughter has a band concert, a cheerleading competition, a soccer game, there is some family event, and your excuse for not being at your family event is work, that's a dismissible occurrence. They will fire you for that. Wow. Now, you say, wow. Now, I'll tell you, they've never had to fire anybody for that, all right? But here's the thing. What's more important to us than our family?
Nothing.
Nothing. And when your leadership recognizes the importance of your family to you, you appreciate that and you respond a certain way. Now, I'm not saying because that's their value that should be everyone else's value. And when I share that value, people initially go, well, that would never work here. Well, maybe it wouldn't, but maybe you've never tried. Maybe you've never thought about it. Now, here's the other side of this. One of their values is PDI, and that stands for, and this is in print, produce, damn it. And what they say is, you got to get your job done. And so on a Saturday afternoon, when the bank is closed, you'll see cars in the parking lot. Why? Because they need to get their jobs done. They need to perform at that high level. Now, I made the mistake of sharing with Pat that I said, oh, so PDI is the opposite of family first. And he says, no, they're not connected at all. They're just two of our values. You have to live all of the values. You can't just live some. There is no priority. They are all in play. And it's the employee's responsibility and privilege to figure out how to live those values. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is those values create a place where like-minded people come together. And so, you and I can go to church, synagogue, the mosque. We can sit down in a pew. We can look to our left and right. And in that environment, people believe different things. But in a place of business, we will connect over those values. And when those values are about people and we connect over those values, we create a place where we feel comfortable, what's safe for us. And then we have the opportunity then to truly perform at our very best.
Those sound like wonderful approaches to be able to create really thriving workplaces where employees will really produce what they need to, not only on behalf of their families, but on behalf of their employer. So Sam,
exactly.
That's so exciting to hear some of your thoughts on this. If our audience wants to learn a little bit more about you and the work that you do, where can they get in touch with you?
It's pretty simple. There's hundreds of articles and videos on our website, and you can go to samsilverstein.com or beaccountable.com, and you'll find all those resources that are available for free, and I welcome the connection. Also, feel free to check me out on LinkedIn.
Sam, I am so grateful for your wisdom, your willingness to share your experience and knowledge with the audience, and just so glad to have you here today. Thanks for being here.
Mari, it's been an honor. I really do appreciate the invitation, and I wish you well.
Thanks, Sam.